5.
Oh, thank you, Blake. I appreciate it.
About this.
Man, what a beautiful morning it has been. Holy crow, dude.
I agree.
It was about perfect out there.
Yeah.
Team PT bike ride this morning. If you're on Patreon, you already know that because you got to see a little bit of behind-the-scenes footage about how Blake and Chili were little poopy pants about this, and they drugged their feet all morning, and Chili finally scrounged him a bicycle up. And but, man, it started off a little bit rough with the mudback tortoise.
What happened?
Well,
I was there.
we have a mudback tortoise. It's a rare and endangered species.
But one of them left, are they?
First time I've ever seen anyone almost drown in a mud puddle. I suspect next time Corn goes on a long bike ride, he's going to have his life jacket on.
That joker was deep, son.
So, Corn, you have to tell us what happened, man, because from our perspective, it looked like you just decided to fall over into a mud puddle.
Well, when you was going beside it, you was pedaling rather fast, and I said, well, he's just playing around.
You know why I was pedaling fast? Because I have to keep my bike in such a low gear to go as slow as you ride your bike.
I said, he's just playing around. Like, what in the world is he even doing? So when I come through there, I was going to try to let it eat. You know what I mean?
That's the best time to put power down, right when you're in a mud puddle.
And the back tire slung around to the left, and me body went to the right.
Look, Corn went rolling up, just right on through, got in that mud hole, and just all of a sudden just fell right on over and then just laid there.
Yeah, let's talk about why'd you decide to just lay there for a while.
I would Chili, you seen me getting up.
You was in that hole for like
cool.
5 seconds. It's probably 5 seconds when you just laying there.
First off, when everybody's laughing, how many times you seen somebody do a burpee in a mud hole when everybody's laughing? So
I didn't laugh.
By correctly as you was
No,
too.
man, I didn't laugh. I was worried about you.
Well, I want to be on your team real bad. But when you fell over and I heard the sound is what made me turn. I heard a boom, boom. And I turned back, and this is exactly what I saw. I mean, I'm just being straight up.
Yep. A mudback tortoise.
And then you got up.
Then he raised up the.
Water was cold.
Why did you lay there?
To me, it felt like I was getting up no more than I started falling down.
That was the first mudback tortoise I'd ever seen actually in the Walla.
Yeah, you don't catch them actually in the mud very often.
It didn't seem as if I laid there.
They
for
generally,
any time.
I've heard they generally only go in them mud holes at night. So we caught one in the daytime.
Yeah, it was rare.
Gosh almighty.
Well,
Yeah, that was funny. We was worried about him the rest of the trip. You know, every time we got into a mud hole, we said, we better wait on Corn here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was thinking about it the whole time. Well, I'll tell you what, Corn, you have really upped your bicycle game. I mean, from that, going back to what's it been, about maybe a month ago when we rode up that first big long hill. Not the one on the road, but the one on the fire road. You remember how daggone you couldn't even, you know, you had to keep getting, you got off balance. You'd have to stop and push your bike.
Well, essentially, he couldn't ride that day.
You stayed on your bike the whole time today.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Big improvements.
Yeah, he did good today.
Well, isn't it funny how on the bike it's like you just spend time on it and you get more comfortable with it and
Absolutely.
get better at it. You enjoy riding bikes?
I love it. Yeah, I absolutely love
I
it.
do too, man. There's two things I like about it. One thing, I like the amount of country you can cover in a short amount of time. Another thing I like about it is it's just fun in the sense of like a little kid fun. I mean, I grew up riding bikes. I don't know about you, but we grew up riding bikes around the neighborhood. You know, you'd find you a Coke can. Did you ever do that? Find a Coke can and stick it down in against the frame and the back tire where it sounded like a motorcycle?
Yeah.
You know, I remember getting a bicycle for Christmas one year, a brand new Huffy. And I I mean, I was so pumped about it. I brought it up there to the neighbor's house, the elderly neighbor, Mr. Green, and I had to show him my new bicycle. I mean, it was a deal, son. Riding bikes.
Yeah.
And something about riding a bike as an adult just connects you with that fun and freedom that you experience as a kid on the bicycle. And I guess the third thing I love about it is it don't beat you to shreds like, you know, a 20-mile run would. You know, we go on a 20-mile run, as out of shape as we all are, we'd be in here sitting on the podcast half asleep right now. We can go on a 20-mile bike ride and just get a pretty good workout in, move our bodies a little bit, have fun, watch you roll around in a mud hole, and we're still good for the rest of the day.
Right. Them 34 stones, they was pretty rough. If you hit on them and got center of those, those will wear your tail out.
Oh, I hated that. I rode that loop last Thursday, and I got on that section of gravel. I hate riding it. I tell you what, I think about 80% of the gravel roads on TNGA are that stone right there.
Really?
Awful.
Yeah.
It's the terriblest stuff to ride over, man.
Yeah. It don't wash like the other, though. That's why they use it. It don't wash out. It don't have dust in it.
Well, if it gets traffic on it, it'll kind of mash them down into the mud,
Right.
you know, and it flatten them out a little bit. But if them roads don't get no traffic on them, so it's just all loose, freaking mini boulders.
Yeah.
That stuff will beat your bike up too, man. That'll dent your wheels. I've had them fly up and hit me in the shins. All kinds of terrible crap. Well, you got a big ride coming up, right?
Yeah, in a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, tell the people about it, man.
Well, it's going to be all concrete. It's going to go from Smyrna, Georgia to Anniston, Alabama. According to the map, that's about 94 miles. So we're going to try to figure out getting 6 more miles somewhere, probably around the town of Anderson, to make it an even 100. That's what we're going to try to do.
How are you going to split it up? What's your plan?
I'm still figuring the plan out. I'm still thinking about it. So I've been doing these shorter rides, 20, 30s, and 40 rides, and trying to figure out how I need to eat, which I know those aren't very long rides, but I've been eating to make sure, you know, whatever I'm eating don't mess with my stomach or anything like that. So I'm thinking maybe around an hour and a half, 2 hours, making sure to take a light break. And I was thinking about once we hit Cedartown, taking a longer break and maybe eating a lunch somewhere, but I don't know about that. So hour and a half, 2 hours, making sure we take a break just to get off the bike, stretch out a bit. Make sure you had the calories that you had in the water that we were supposed to eat within that hour, those 2 hour frames, making sure we're even up on all that. And then thinking about doing a lunch break in Cedartown, like 45 minutes inside Cedartown. But I don't know. I know if we sit down to eat a lunch, probably this is just my thinking. So I'm thinking Cedartown's going to be around mile 50-something, close to 60. And we're going to try to make sure we stay at about 11-mile-an-hour pace. So we should be getting there within under 6 hours. So don't want to eat a great big lunch, but I think that's probably going to be something to have to fight, like sitting down, going in a restaurant.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Well, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to figure that out in my head. I ain't got an idea. First time I've ever done anything like this.
I came through Dalton on the TNGA, and there's a daggone hamburger joint down there in Dalton.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all ever seen it. I haven't forgot what it was called, but I ate a hamburger. I bet it was 4 pounds, dude. The good thing about the bike, man, I'm talking all kinds of good things about. No, I ain't kidding you. There's a hamburger joint in Dalton. Look it up, Blake. It's this hamburger place, and they got that. You can get like hamburgers with like peanut butter and jelly on them, chili, all kinds of stuff, avocado. I mean, it's just a little hole in the wall. Willie's, yeah. It is the nastiest, greasiest fly hole of a hamburger joint you have probably ever seen in your life, son.
Well, here's how they would describe it. You tell me if this is accurate. It's a snug bungalow with southern bites. Would you?
I don't
think
know
that's
if it
fair?
was snug. There were flies everywhere.
Well, that's snug.
Yeah, you couldn't even hardly sit down and eat your burger because there were flies
Your
everywhere.
house is snug.
There's flies everywhere at my house too.
Yeah.
Well, when you get back on the bike, see, you're going to be on smooth surface, so it's not going to be jolting your gut.
Right.
Well,
See-
is the fear that you're going to sit down and get real tight and not want to get back up?
Yeah, eating a big meal.
Yeah.
And,
Well, that might happen, but guess what you do?
Yeah.
You just get back up and get back on the
right.
bike.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would enjoy it, man. If it was me personally, I love that about bike packing.
Yeah.
Races, riding into a town, finding some place to eat, sitting down, eating, and then getting back on the bike and going again.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the temptation to just sit down and not get back up and ride is going to be there regardless of whether you go get a meal or not.
Well, yeah, every
mean-
time you get off the dang thing.
Right. So, yeah, plan it out the best you can with food, and I don't think that's a bad idea.
But
That
when
way
you,
you'll give you something substantial, too.
yeah, and when you get back on the bike, give yourself about 45 minutes or an hour to let your food settle and just be pedaling, just be moving, but don't get on there and just start hammering it
Right.
immediately,
It'd be good, too, to eat something else in 10, 12 hours.
Yeah.
Other than just daggum peanut butter sandwiches.
Yeah.
Right over to that catfish joint over in Alabama, top of the river.
Oh, gosh.
That's in Gadsden.
Where they got that hydrogenated oil butter.
Stuff
It
right
ain't even
there.
real butter.
That stuff will
Why-
do you good.
So, did you eat there with us that time, Chili?
The last time you ate
Let me
there?
tell you what, man. That there is not. I don't know that there's a good restaurant in all of Alabama.
well, there's one. What's the name of it, Chili? It's a little bit further.
In Bessemer? Bright Star Cafe? Yeah, you got to go there.
That's
I
the
haven't
only
ate
one.
there. Alabama is like going back in time, dude. That place is a hole, son. There are so many pores in Alabama.
Here we go.
There are.
What do they look
Dude,
like?
Alabama is full of pores.
As soon as you cross the line, you just pores everywhere.
I don't know why. I mean, look, man, if you're going to get groceries
I'm
in Alabama,
looking.
you're going to go
I'm
to the
looking.
Piggly Wiggly, man. You're going to be able to get you some daggone 2% milk that's hydrogenated, pasteurized, freaking $1 for a whole gallon, 80% off, son.
That's
Can't even
that,
get skim milk.
that's that bulk sausage country there, son.
It is, man.
Sausage in a can.
Dude, Alabama and Mississippi is poor, son. Y'all ain't noticed that?
Just
Oh, yeah.
the whole state, you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, you go through there, dude. There's just nothing. It's just.
I like both them states.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I mean, I personally would live in Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would live in Alabama. I don't know where I would get decent groceries and stuff for. I guess I would have to hire one of those poors to tend my garden or something.
Oh, my.
But, yeah,
Whoa.
that's all I can figure. I like Alabama. I don't know if I like Mississippi or not. I haven't spent enough time there. I went coon hunting in Mississippi one time. I went with some guys down there. We did a coon hunt. A couple days we were down there, but we went down into the little village there, and it was like Mayberry in the Andy Griffith Show. There was one restaurant. And it was like a Saturday night, and every Saturday, this restaurant would do a buffet, fried catfish buffet.
Yep.
And I'm not kidding you. I believe everybody that lived in this area had descended upon this place.
Yeah.
It was shoulder to shoulder packed.
That should be.
Now, let me tell you, the food was good. I mean, that food was off the chain good.
I like Mississippi.
Not good for you, but it was good.
I like Houston, Mississippi, and they say it's pronounced Houston, but I ain't saying that. But I like that. I like some.
We
southern
drove
Mi-
through
some
Mississippi.
southern Mississippi. Yeah, Monroe.
Yeah,
We like Monroe.
I do like that. The Washita River.
Yep.
That's down there where Phil Robertson and them boys, they live somewhere on that Washita River.
That was a cool.
That's a
looking
pretty river. Yeah, it is.
But what do you think about top of the river?
Dude,
in Gadsden.
that place is a freaking hole, dude. But it's packed.
It's better than that Mexican joint.
You can't even consider that a restaurant, Blake. That was like a breeding ground for cockroaches.
Yeah.
I think they were raising cockroaches in this place.
Probably were for fishing on that river. I bet people use them to fish with.
I don't think there's many Mexicans in Alabama. That's why the Mexican joints don't do so well over there.
You've been reading the census?
I was just making an assessment, as I travel through.
Speculation.
Yeah.
But no, top of the river, man, it's packed shoulder to shoulder with pores. And the food is crap. They literally have butter in there that it says it's butter, but then if you look at it, it says imitation butter. If you look closely at it. Am I not lying, Blake?
He ain't lying.
I ain't doing it, man.
Can't believe it ain't butter.
It's right there. The back deck hangs off of the Coosa River, and the Coosa's so nasty right there, dude.
Beautiful.
It's downstream from all the paper mills, and they just ruin all of our rivers. All of our rivers are just ruined, man.
Yeah, well, until you get in it, like you do on the Ultimate, at least I didn't realize how destructive that is, man. Woo, it's bad.
Yeah, literally,
everything dies within a several mile radius.
Yeah, and then you get 60, 70, 80 miles downstream of this thing, and you're like, I still smell the paper mill. What is? I know it's not in the air, and then you realize it's in the water.
Still.
60 miles downstream, the water still smells like the paper mill. It's horrible, man. But they got a permit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got a permit to dump all that stuff in the water.
Well, long as they ain't breaking the law.
EPA.
That's
You know?
right. That's right.
What else are they going to do? Where else are they going to dump the water that it takes, I guess, to run the machinery that they use to process that wood or something?
Yeah.
It gets this chemical in it. What else they say they run it through a treatment facility, right? If you look at that paper mill from a satellite view, you'll see this massive area that's these holding ponds, and they say they run that water through this treatment facility before they pump it back out into the river. But it obviously ain't doing much.
Nah, everything dies right by it. So whether they run it through that or not, it ain't good what they're putting in there. But I don't know the solution either. Like, what you got to do something with the water.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what.
What do they do with all that wood all that pulp wood and stuff, Corn? That runs through them paper mills.
There's hundreds.
Do they actually make paper with them?
Yeah, there's hundreds of products, though, that's made with that. But, yeah, right up here in Coosa, that's what they do. They make paper there. Yeah. But there's countless products that's made from wood. Countless. The interesting thing, though, is if they was using the water to begin with and they send it through treatment, but they don't want that water back to use it again because it ain't no good.
Right.
And that's why they dump it out. If they can treat it and it's good water again.
Mm-hmm. Saying, why can't they recycle it?
Yeah, why ain't they keeping it? It's because it ain't no count now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they pull massive amounts of water out of the river, too. It actually affects the flow and the water level of this massive freaking river. They're pulling so much water out of it.
Yeah.
Just hundreds and probably millions of gallons.
Here's the deal, though, with stuff like that. I'm real good at identifying problems. Like, that's a problem. But I ain't real good at finding the solution for that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, what's the solution?
To continue to make the products that are needed but not destroy.
It would have to be some more advanced water treatment process
or even just a more, actually filter it and clean it after you've used it. I mean, maybe that's what you should hone in on, like a better process for that.
Poppy said the Coosa paper mill shut down. Is that true,
Yeah.
Corn?
I don't know.
I have heard they're shutting it down.
They shut it down, or they're shutting it
I think
down?
they're shutting it down. Well, it may be at this point shut down, but I know in just recent months I have smelled that paper mill.
Yeah.
So
Well, those paper mills are big industrial monsters. A lot of them produce their own, or they supplement their own power, like the one there in Coosa. It has these big, humongous, massive boilers that they take and feed with mulch to develop heat, and somehow or another they produce it into power, but they have to have water to cool everything that comes in through there. They use water for all kinds of stuff. Some of them use water to float bark away, to get it out of the way so they ain't got to keep digging up the ground while they push it. They use water for all kinds of stuff.
What's that plant on the Altamaha that start, like, not 20 miles in? It's always rolling that steam.
That's a nuclear power plant.
Is that what? Okay, I never got a good look at that.
Yeah.
Because there's one right by in Chickamauga where, close to me.
Well, where we camped the first night on the Altamaha,
It's right by it.
You could see the steam coming off of that out there on the horizon.
I need a good look at the towers there because it's a lot. It's a big plant.
That's a nuclear power plant, but apparently that they don't discharge into the river.
No.
All they're doing is pulling water out, and then they're using that water to cool the reactors.
Right.
And
it's
so
just a cooling thing.
Even the smoke you see coming out of the stacks is just steam.
Now, I live right by one, Sequoia. Now, I want to know what that's doing to you, living right near one. They say nothing, but I don't know.
Giving you short thumbs.
I was born right by one. I mean, it had some kind of birth defect on me. I'm convinced, and everybody else in the local tri-state area. But what I'm also wondering is, if you live around there, there's all these things around the road. There's these signs, these warning signs that say nuclear power plant evacuation route. You ever seen something like that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen those.
Tells you, like, if this thing starts popping off, you go this way. Like, if that thing starts popping off, what good's it going to do which way I drive?
Yeah.
I mean, you ain't...
I think they call that a meltdown. The reactor begins to melt down. What's even going on in that freaking reactor,
You're
man?
daggum screwed if it starts going off.
Stuff's reacting.
Might as well just sit there. What is it, nuclear fission?
I don't.
Aren't they like slamming atoms together or like splitting atoms or something?
That's,
Well, a lot of people
That's
that-
when you create an explosion.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people that live up around there, I see them going to convulsing
Well,
from being around it too much.
Convulsing, yeah. There's a lot of convulsing going on up there. That's for sure.
It's a side effect of radiation for sure.
Yeah.
It gives some people superpowers. There was a dude that's from there named Noah Cochran that was super fast on his feet.
I remember that guy.
Yeah, it gives them superpowers. If you run into him, I bet he smokes you.
Well, you
I
probably
bet he
won't.
smokes.
If you run into him, it's because y'all going opposing directions. You ain't,
Yeah,
you will never catch
well,
him.
I heard he went into an orbital.
And then
Ain't
retired.
Nobody's seen him. Yeah.
He's been gone for a long time.
So they can give you superpowers.
Well, that is a breeding ground up there for convulsing.
Yeah.
I don't know about
I don't know.
You ever heard of Block?
A dude named Block.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Block Cochran?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was from Tennessee.
yeah, sure was.
Now, speaking of Tennessee, I don't like Tennessee. I don't know if I'm prepared to come out against nuclear power plants, but I am prepared to come out against Tennessee. I don't like that state.
Well, do it.
In what fashion?
I don't like the
They ain't
state.
got now state income tax.
I don't care. I don't like the state. I don't like the culture. I don't like the way the land lays. I don't like the way the state is shaped.
The culture.
I don't like nothing about it. Tennessee.
Even the name.
Yeah, I don't even like the name of it. And all the cities are the same. I don't know the difference between Chattanooga and Nashville. Somebody says come up to Nashville. I'm like, well, I think I'm going to Chattanooga the
Or
whole
Memphis.
time. Yeah.
There's a thing on YouTube. It's called the Heartland series. Did you ever watch it with Bill Landry? And it's all about Tennessee. If you watch that, I guarantee you change your mind. It's mesmerizing.
Chad quit taking calls from Tennessee numbers too. Yeah.
No 423s.
I don't like that state, man.
This would be the one. now
Way
it's an
low on
865.
the list.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Way low on the list, man. All right, back to your bike ride, Corn. When you leave Cedartown, are you just riding this straight through?
Thinking about me.
Yeah, straight through. So it goes from Metro Atlanta, and then comes through rural West Georgia, into some rural East Alabama. Yeah.
Well, so y'all aren't planning on stopping and camping or nothing like that.
No, I'm actually thinking about, and this is a unique thing too. Never done this before. Like all the bazillion thoughts that are going into my head on like how I should try it, how I should do. Like I was wanting to get a 70-something mile ride in, and then I was like, well, why would if I do 70-something miles, I don't have but 20-something left.
Yeah.
Like that makes literally no sense in my thought. And I don't want to put a bunch of ifs on there to give us some outs. You know what I mean? But I'm thinking about if we make it there in decent time, turning around and coming as far back as we can back to Georgia.
Mm.
You saying that'd be a 200-mile ride.
Well, not going all the way.
Okay.
So, like, if I could make it, or if we did make it, to Rockmart, somewhere that's within close range
Then
for
you could,
friends or family to come pick us up at a
Yeah.
trailhead.
yeah.
Yeah.
So why'd you decide to ride this route?
It was actually brought up by my younger son. And I know why me and Blake talked about it yesterday, why he come up with it is he's seen some progress that I'm making physically, and he probably thought, well, Daddy's riding a bike now. You gave me that bike. I want to do it. Let's do this. And of course, I wanted to see if I can do it. But other than that, I want to continually progress.
Yeah.
So I've learned, like in CrossFit, like I can reach a point and think I'm doing really well. And then when Team PT comes and y'all come in there and you're running behind me, hollering, I better not catch you, or we go up there to where we rode that first time and it just totally wrecked myself. And I think I need, for on the bike, I think I need the distance to continuously progress.
Mm-hmm.
So when he first come up with it, it was just like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. But as the trainings went on and conversation around it, that's what it's progressed to.
Good, man.
But now Cooney has backed out, so Tulo G's doing it now.
Yep. On short notice.
On short notice, yeah.
Well, I think G probably saw that coming.
Oh, yeah.
And so he had been doing all that training in the driveway. It ain't nothing for him to ride 40 miles on a 100-yard stretch.
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he's going to get his training in.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he saw it coming.
Dude.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch G grow up as he see what he does, because he's got a lot of drive right now as a young man.
He does. Mm-hmm.
Yep, he's got a lot of drive, and and now Corn's getting into some bigger challenges and fitness and all this, and so now he's got a buddy he can do it with, and yeah,
He's talented, man.
yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch him progress, and he might be working with us one day, man. Who knows?
Now he's got all that barbell, too.
Oh, he's loaded down with barbells, son.
Good.
I mean, loaded down with it.
Hey, ready for the ride?
Oh, yeah, he's ready.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he does really well. So
I just meant, is he he's ready to do it. He's excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's excited.
I'd be excited too. That's gonna be fun, man.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of barbell, I saw you wearing shorts for the first time. Gym shorts.
That drip.
For the first time ever.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, gym shorts. Yeah, absolutely.
They was busting.
At the proving grounds.
Yeah.
Corn had his barbell. What's the model of those shorts? Adapt shorts on.
Yeah, with the
Be hard when it gets hard logo. And dang, he looked good in them things, man. Legs were freshly shaved. Calves were popping out. Quads were just bulging with muscle. Dang, he looked good in them things, man. And the white contrasting against the black short. If the short would have been anything other than black, it wouldn't have been so spectacular. But the contrast between the two opposite colors was just, I'll tell you what, it was pretty awesome. I've been wearing my Adapt shorts. I wore them twice this week during my CrossFit workouts. And they are really great shorts. I like them because they ain't so daggone flimsy. You know, you can actually put stuff in the pockets, but they're cut real well. They're comfortable. They're loaded with features, and they've got the logo, the Be Hard When It Gets Hard logo in white, contrasted on that black short. They're about to cut logos printed on there about the color of Cornbread's legs. And it just looks crisp, son. It just looks crisp. That's a great short, man.
Yeah, it is a great short. I mean, I like them, man. They're new, and I wasn't sure what they were going to be because they said, oh, we got all these new features and all this stuff. It's way better. And I was like, come on, man. It can't be that much better. I mean, I like the first ones, you know. I like the old Phantom shorts and the Ranger shorts, but I mean, for what we do, it is a big improvement. I mean, totally. So I like them a lot.
They got a guarantee?
Lifetime guarantee, right? That's the Be Hard shorts are covered in that, right?
Really?
Yeah, everything that's not on clearance.
Lifetime guarantee.
Yep.
They've
Heard about that?
That's pretty dang good.
They've even got a thing where if you outgrow your clothes,
Yeah,
you
body
lose,
transformation.
Yeah, so you get too fat or
Yeah.
you get too muscle, then
Yeah, rip it, tear it, wear it, live in it. Yeah, everyday use gets it torn up, lifetime guarantee. And I like that it's also covered by you drop down a few sizes, a few notches.
or say you decide you want to quit working out and you
You
go up
a few sizes.
I
Get
mean-
you a new pair.
Yeah.
How about that?
They ought not give shorts to fats. If you're getting a bigger fat, they ought not give you no shorts, man. They ought to make you pay for a new pair just for punishment. But hey, man, I guess Barbell is way more friendly than me.
Yeah, I guess so.
Dude,
What do they call that? A satisfaction guarantee?
well, you said it's a lifetime guarantee.
Yeah, lifetime satisfaction. Well, when you make stuff built to last, they stand behind it.
Yeah.
Y'all check them out at barbellapparel.com. Blake, will you drop the link
Oh
to them?
yeah, I've already done it, Bubba.
Okay. Yeah, that's a sweet
already
new
done
pair
it?
of shorts. We're trying to get Blake to do his job a little bit better. He'll get real slack on you if you don't stay on him, man. I mean, if you don't stay on Blake, he will get slack on you real quick.
You sound like that toy that you put in my car.
No kidding, man. Barbell has been an amazing partner and a huge supporter of 307 Project. So it means a lot to us if you guys would support them. And that's how all this ends up working. It's our Patreon and our partners, Barbell, Hoist, First Form. They're what allows all this to happen, man.
Yep.
That's the truth of the matter. Can't do nothing by yourself, although that's what a lot of you guys are trying to do. It's just get through life all alone, and you think you can do it all. You don't need any help from anybody. Well, you're going to figure out you ain't going to get very far. So, all right. I wanted to talk about today, well, one thing, you know, every now and then you are made aware of the absolute despair and hopelessness that is the reality for some people. Like, that's their every day, is just hopelessness and despair. And you forget that there are people out there who go through life and spend just most of their time pretty much hopeless. Like, I forget that because the people that I'm surrounded by have hope. All of us, right? You guys are my people, and y'all are who I do life with. So you just lose the perspective that, dude, there's some people out there that are really, really hurting in terms of despair and hopelessness. Like, I'm not talking about physical pain, but just like, what the heck? Why am I even here? What am I doing here? What's this all about, right? And you can't come up with a good answer. And so I was having a conversation with somebody the other night, and they were telling me about another person who was in that place of utter hopelessness and despair, and it didn't look like they were going to make it out of it. And it just really made me consider how important the gospel is. Like, and the weird thing about the gospel of Christ, when you try to break it down, is when you first hear it and you choose to accept the gospel and believe in the gospel and what it says about Jesus and what it says about you, you accept it, but you don't immediately understand the power of the gospel. Even if you think you do. It's like, as I've been through this journey of faith and this journey with Christ year after year after year, I have an increased love and appreciation for how powerful the gospel is to deliver us from despair and to deliver us from hopelessness. It's the literal cornerstone of the rest of our journey through life. And it is the only permanent solution to heal a person's mind. Without it, you will eventually find yourself being hopeless, or find yourself in despair. You will eventually get to that point. You might have a lot of resources in this life. You might have experienced success. You might have it all going on. But you are going to get to the point where you grow old and you get ugly and you die. All of that, everything that you think you have, everything in this life, everything of this world that you think you can find hope and purpose in, it will be snatched from you. Either at some point in your life because of some unforeseen circumstance, or it will eventually be snatched from you by your literal death. And you will die in despair. You will. And I just want people to understand how, and I know I can tell you this, but until you get down the road in your journey with Christ, just know that the gospel of Christ is the most powerful message that exists on the earth. And it's the cornerstone and the foundation of this entire experience that we are having in life. And I want you to understand that, but I understand also that you can't understand that until you are led to the point where it's revealed to you. And I just want to say, for anybody that's listening to this podcast today that is struggling with hope, that might be in despair, which is the absence of hope, the absolute absence of hope, I want to tell you that who you are in Christ and what the gospel says about you, if you will just stop rejecting that, if you will just accept that, and you will choose to present yourself as a living sacrifice to Christ, even if it doesn't you don't even if you can't grasp or understand the power in accepting that right now, I'm just telling you that if you will stop rejecting that, and if you will accept the gospel, you will begin a journey that I am 100% confident in the fact that it will heal your mind of this place of hopelessness and despair that you have found yourself in because you have for so long been clinging to yourself and been clinging to the things of this world and been clinging to your own abilities and your own endeavors and your own strength and all of these things are failing you. Just don't reject the gospel, man, when you hear it. Respond properly to the gospel, and it will heal your mind. You don't get it all at once, but you have to start that journey by just responding to it properly. And so, many of you have already heard the gospel, but what the gospel says is what is true about you. You are way far from perfect. You have deviated from the standard of perfection as set forth by the creator of the universe, the only perfect being, God the creator. You can't hold that standard. You look back on your life. How many things have you screwed up? How many people have you hurt? A lot. You're going to keep screwing up, man. And what the gospel says is because of your inability to be perfect, because of sin, essentially, in you, you were disconnected from God because God is perfect, and a perfect being cannot be in the presence of a sinful human. A perfect being and also a perfect judge. And the gospel says that that perfect God loved you so much that he literally gave himself through his son, Jesus Christ, as an atoning sacrifice for your sin. And that all that you have to do to be made righteous, and all that you have to do to be made clean and to enter back into relationship with that perfect God who loves you perfectly, all you have to do is accept that you are a sinner, that God loved you so much that he sent his son to die for you, and that death on the cross is sufficient to cover your sins completely. And there's nothing else that is. It's only that blood that was shed on the cross when God took your sins upon himself and paid the price for all the stuff that you've screwed up. That sacrifice is sufficient. And it is sufficient because God said it was sufficient. What more could he give but himself? What more could he do but to take the wickedness of all of mankind upon himself and suffer for it? There's no higher sacrifice that can be made. That is sufficient. And all you have to do is say, yep, I am going to believe in that and in that alone. I'm going to believe in the atoning blood of Christ as a substitute for my sin. And that alone. And I'm going to repent from who I was, meaning I don't want to be wicked anymore. I'm going to repent. and I'm going to follow Christ, knowing that he was resurrected from the dead and that he is now seated at the right hand of God, continuously making intercession for all of us. And the reason that heals your mind is because you can then understand that you are no longer just a filthy, worthless, sinful human that screws stuff up, but you are now washed whiter than snow because of the blood of Christ. You are clean. You are cleansed, man. And you've been given an inheritance, an eternal inheritance with Jesus. Look forward to that. You know, y'all ever read in Romans where Paul says, present your body as a living sacrifice? That's what you got to do, man. Like when I say repent, turn away from yourself, it's present your body as a living sacrifice unto the Lord. Your body is going to be sacrificed to something. You might as well make the choice to sacrifice your body to something that's worthwhile, to something that's true, to a perfect God who loves you perfectly. So there is a cure for hopelessness and despair, and it is responding to the gospel and believing the truth of who you are in Jesus Christ. That's the cure to despair. It's the only cure, though. Not $1 billion, not 1,000 acres, not the nicest car, not the biggest business. The only cure to despair is the gospel of Jesus Christ and who that gospel says you are in Christ. That's it, man. And if you don't respond to that, you will fall into hopelessness and despair. Guarantee you. Because nothing else will endure. And you must build everything off of that. And it's available to every single person. If you hear the gospel, you better think twice before you reject it. You are hazarding your eternal soul when you choose to reject the gospel after it's been presented to you. Because you may not ever get the opportunity to respond to it again. And it is very possible that you will simply be turned over to a reprobate mind. Rejecting the gospel when it is presented to you is a very, very hazardous decision to make. So you better think about it. So that I just wanted to say that to the listener today. I hope maybe nobody needed to hear that. But in case somebody did, I just wanted to say that to the listeners. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Blake. Thank you, Chili. Thank you, Cornbread.
Absolutely.
I love it when I go on my long monologues and y'all just sit there.
Well, Chili was about to say something.
Oh, I know he was. That's my sidekick.
He just
My
had
main.
to,
Hey, that's my main man right there.
he just had to get that dig in.
Hey, Chili's my main man.
Do you think anybody would ever don't know. Do you think anybody would ever ask why do I need hope? Like, that's one of those self-evident things, really.
Well,
It's kind of interesting.
Well, yeah. I mean, most people will ask that question until they experience a moment of crisis.
Right.
And that's my point, is the moment of crisis is coming.
Yeah, why do I need that?
Whether it's when you might not need that.
Yeah.
Until you are laying down and you are about to freaking die. And then all of a sudden you're going to have a moment where you need some hope. Like, that moment of crisis is coming. Just hopefully it comes before it's actually going to cost you your dying breath. Yeah, you almost have to come to this moment of crisis, or you almost have to experience despair to realize why you need hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got anything to add, Blake, CB?
I think a lot of people, though, that level is it full rejection, because like most addicts, they thrive in adversity. I did when I was a full blown drinking. Like, the harder it was, the better I thought I was doing, but I really wasn't. So is it full blown rejection because someone else's crisis, your level of crisis would be way different than Blake's level of crisis, so where is I think a lot of times people just don't pay attention if it's presented to them, that what they want in their mind, what the only way they see out has nothing to do with Jesus. Mm-hmm. And is that full-blown rejection? I would say yes, but I don't think the world would say yes, and I think that construes a lot of people that need to be led to the gospel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. It makes total sense. In a sense, you're. It seems like you're asking if someone hears the gospel, but like you said, the way they see it, they don't see why they need it.
Yeah.
So they don't really pay much attention to it.
Yeah.
Is that rejection? It's a good question. I don't have the answer for it.
And what if it's presented to them in just a horrible way that is, they're unable to interpret what's going on? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So somebody that's in crisis, there's no telling where they are. Maybe they're in prison. Maybe they don't have an access to a Bible. In our mind, not having access to a Bible is like, what are you talking about? There's people that ain't got access to the Bible. Mm-hmm. I mean, we know this. Mm-hmm. Maybe somebody's just totally whacking the gospel out, and they can't even understand it. Where's their hope going to come from?
Well, if you're presented something that's not the gospel and you reject that, well, then you didn't reject the gospel. But the question kind of becomes, or a different question is, what is in us that is basically innate, that knows the need that we have, but chooses to reject that without hearing anything?
Self.
Right. I mean, I could postulate that whether you hear it, like, it's two different things, but there's a level of rejecting it just innately, regardless of what you've heard, when you depend on yourself for anything. Like, when you continue to look at yourself and look for yourself to be the help that you need, because everybody needs it. Like, there's no argument that, oh, well, you don't need help. This person doesn't need help for anything. That's not even an argument. So
they can act like they don't.
Yeah, but everybody does. I mean, it's.
I preached a whole message on Sunday night on Resurrected for Patreon about the sin of self. Did a whole 45-minute talk on it. I don't know. Did y'all listen? Did you listen to it, Corn?
No.
Hard to not be yourself, though. So
I preached a whole message on it, and
that's why that's hard.
How even for those of us who are saved and who have chosen to respond to the gospel and follow Christ, that the self-sins are usually the things that maintain the veil between us and God. And we talked about all different types of things. We talked about self-righteousness, self-sufficiency, We talked about self-love.
It's pride.
We talked about all manner of self-sins. And it was interesting because one of the members there on Patreon said, a couple of these things, I've never thought of them as part of my sinful nature. Like, hold on, you're telling me like
Self-confidence.
like you're telling me that self-sufficiency is part of my sinful nature? And I'm like, yes, that is part of the fibers of that tightly woven veil that prevents you from actually beholding God the Father for who he is. And Bean joined in, and Bean said something I want to share with you guys. And he said, when you actually, like, I want to say he said, like, kiss the face of God, or essentially, he used it as an analogy.
Yeah.
Like how when you kiss a woman for the first time, how it becomes intoxicating and you stop thinking about all the other things that you might have used, that were so spectacular, but you just became infatuated with this woman, And so he's using an analogy here. And the point of asking and begging the Lord to rip this veil of self that stands between you and actually beholding him for who he is as your Father. The point in asking him to tear through that veil so that you can behold him is because when that veil is torn and you behold him and you, if you want to use Bean's words, you kiss the face of God, that you can't help but just become infatuated with him. That everything else in life just becomes dull. Every other thing in life, money, status, business, it just all becomes dull, man. But the main barrier, especially for the people of the body of Christ, the church, the visible church, the veil a lot of times is not necessarily the outward sins that we like to talk about. Adultery, drunkenness, all of these things. Right? It's these because we don't have near as much trouble crucifying those outward sins as we have allowing the cross of Christ to do its deadly work on ourselves. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's why the veil remains. And that's why so many of us go through our lives and we are saved by the blood of Christ, and we've accepted Christ, but we still want to cling to all of these other things because we haven't been able to behold him for who he truly is. And so therefore, all of these things in this world still look bright and shiny because you haven't actually got yourself out of the way to understand the truth and to behold God for who he is. It's like, yeah, man. Yeah, that was a tough one for me to even study and to write and then to preach on, because I saw so many of those self-sins in myself. Even just things that you do to draw attention to yourself. I had to really assess myself as I was writing this message out, because a part of self-sin is self-promotion, which is widely accepted in the church. Self-promotion. How many pastors and teachers and people, you're promoting yourself. Not for the sake of Christ, but you're promoting yourself. Like that. No, man, that's not the equation. God's equation isn't promote yourself so that Christ can be glorified. It's promote Christ.
Yeah, why do you have to be involved in that?
But you understand how so many of these self sins are widely accepted. That's why they're so subtle and nobody will call them out because we accept them.
Well, is that not where every outward sin starts?
Yeah, everything's tied together. Yeah, everything's tied together. But I even had to assess myself, like when I'm posting on Instagram and stuff, like what is this about, man? Is this self-promotion?
Yeah, I think a lot of those are so accepted that it's not even thought of.
100%.
Like
100%.
Not even thought of at all. Like, I would never think that you was self-promoting anything. But I know you as long as I've known you, and I know you for who you are. Whether it is or not, I can't tell you.
Only the Holy Spirit can reveal that to me.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why everything is so difficult you can find a problem with everything. I mean, like, to a degree, some things are self-promotion. I mean, you're running a business. I mean, then you promote your business. Well, that's your, I mean, that, like, where is the point of what's okay? And that's that. Everyone comes up with their own conclusion, because you'll find most people say, well, I don't like, look how that dude's self-promoting. I don't like how he does that.
Yeah.
Well, but look, that dude's self-promoting, but he's doing it in a more.
So you're exactly right, Chili. And that's why the final question I asked, it's really funny that you said that. Like, everybody's coming up with a different conclusion, right? Like,
yeah.
Because the final question I asked on Resurrected was, okay, well, now that we've identified these self-sins, how do we rid ourselves of them? That's hard to do because, like Chili said, well, everybody's coming up with something different, or, how do we literally, crucify ourselves? Like, okay, we can say it, but like, no, I mean, in a real sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's subjectivity to something like the line of self-promotion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because nobody wants to sit here and say, and I mean, I'm not saying I disagree with this, but that it's wrong to have a business.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to say that. I don't think that's true. But what is involved in that? Like, you can take this to the point where you just go, okay, well, I'm going to delete all of the social media. We're going to delete this podcast. We're going to delete the YouTube. We're going to take the site down. We're just going to take it down. Actually, no, we won't take it down. We'll just take everything off of it that's our name. Anything branded on it is going to be taken off. We're not going to sell anything in the store, provide products for people. We're not going to promote anything. It's just going to have a few short messages, and we're going to hide it in the SEO so you can't find it. If you stumble upon it, it's just because you happen to get there, and then we'll just have you a link to this. Like, you can get to that point. Well, then everything dies.
Yeah. No, I think where the answer to this lies is in terms of what you're talking about in a business sense. The answer lies in a secret place where only the individual can discern.
To your heart behind it?
Yep. That's where the answer lies. And that can even be deceptive. And
well, dude, that's yourself.
Okay, exactly. That
identification.
This is where I'm getting to.
Evaluation.
This is where I'm getting to. That can be deceptive. Just like Chili said, you made a good point. So when we ask ourselves, how can we rid ourselves of this? And how can we operate in this way where ourselves are crucified completely and we are walking in who we are in Christ and Christ alone? That can literally only be done by way of the Holy Spirit. It is something that you cannot do yourself. So that has to be something, and it's miraculous the way it works. But that has to be something that you have to desire it. You have to lay it at God's feet and and beg for him to sift you. You have to beg for that, and you have to prepare yourself to go through something that's going to really, really hurt. But that work is only done by way of the Holy Spirit. And on his time, it cannot be done by you.
Well, it's so funny to think about that because most people, I would say, including me, if you're even able to identify that, okay, self-sin is a problem, self-righteousness is a problem, selfishness is a problem, self-promotion, whatever, and then you go, okay, that is a problem, so I want to fix that. And then you immediately go to self-evaluation.
You can't fix it.
And self-correction is how you're going to fix it.
You can't fix it
that's
without,
really
without the Holy
ironic.
Spirit. Yeah. Yeah, it's really difficult to accept that, man. I was listening to this guy. Dad sent him to me, and I really enjoy his preaching. His name is Paul Washer. Really enjoy his preaching. And he made the point the other day. He said, people talk about that there are all of these, hundreds or thousands of religions out there. Yeah. And he so eloquently states that, no, when you boil it down, there are two. There are all of these religious philosophies that say, if you do this, you will get this. And then there's one that says you can't do it. But you're gonna get this anyways because God loves you. And he desires to be in relationship with you. Now, he puts it a lot more in-depth and eloquent than that, but that was the basis of it.
I think the trouble is with that is when you look at the gospel and say, well, it's the one where you don't have to do, you can't do anything, you don't do anything. But then, again, you have to believe. You have to accept the gospel. Well, that's something you've got to do. But then does that come down to you doing that? Or is that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Like that would be the rub with that. Like, you almost can't get around not having to do anything. Like, if that counts as something. Mm-hmm. Like, but then how is that even truly achieved through you and your own
that's a question that
ability.
It's a question that we can't answer. Is the fact that you just heard the gospel today on the 307 podcast?
Yeah.
Is that because Chad decided to come on here and present the gospel?
Well, exactly. That's a $1 million question in and of itself.
Yeah. But nonetheless, you heard it. Now, how you respond to it, if you respond properly to it, is that because you chose to? Or is that because you were granted the ability to do so?
Right. One and there's one just fact of life as well that you can't get around is that you have to contend with that. There is no.
So I don't have to contend with it personally.
Well, no, I'm saying with everybody has to contend with it when they hear it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like at some point, like everybody has to.
Yeah.
You have to do something with it. Mm-hmm. You can't get around that. But then when it comes down to when it's accepted or not, or what, and how is that done, and who's that through, that, like the questions you just asked, like you said, are the $1 million questions in a sense.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't necessarily matter to me because what I am trying to express to you right now about the power of the gospel of Christ is the most real thing on earth to me. It is the most real thing in my entire life's experience. I am wholly and completely convinced that it was real to the point that I would give my very life's blood before I turn my back on it. That's where I'm at. And so, I don't know if it was my choice. I don't know if God called me. All I know is it's real. And that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. It's isn't a joke. Think about it, man. Is anybody still watching this podcast, Blake?
703.
Oh, my word. 703 people. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Welcome to the 3 of 7 podcast.
We're just getting started.
I love you guys. All right, we're gonna shift gears here. I just wanted to get y'all's input on I made that video yesterday on YouTube, the truck talk about federal law enforcement, and we have many former law enforcement officers in here today, and I wanted to get their take. I didn't realize it was such a big conversation. Should there be federal armed law enforcement agencies that can be wielded by the federal government in order to carry out punishment for the innumerable and convoluted laws that do exist today? So people kept saying there's a book out there called 3 Felonies a Day. And it was trying to make the point that pretty much every single day you're guilty of at least 3 felonies.
What?
You just don't get caught. That's how vast and convoluted the law is. And then our justice system, I mean, dude, you can talk to attorneys and lawyers, and if they're honest, they will even tell you how corrupt our justice system is. Mankind is not capable of justice.
Well, it doesn't even need to be corrupt. It needs to be corruptible. And if you don't think that it could be corruptible, I mean, if you cling to the fact that if that ever happened and the government wanted to come and get you, well, you could go to court and they'd find that you're innocent. Dude, what do you think is holding on to the fact that you have to abide by any of that? Well, we got a constitution. What they going to do then? You seen that? It's hanging in the building in the glass case. You see what they're going to do about the Constitution? They don't follow it now.
Yeah.
Well, it don't save you, man. Like, the corrupt nature of the justice system is all you need to know that it ain't good. Like, what are you going to do, regardless of whether you've done anything against the law or not? When they decide you have. I mean, you can't, there's nothing inherently good or righteous about how you're going to be judged on earth or in the United States. So, I mean, going off of that assumption to think that protects you in some way, it does not. But you're asking the question of federal law enforcement.
Yeah, well, should there be armed federal law enforcement agencies like the FBI, the ATF,
well, for
whatever.
What? Should there be for what?
Should they even exist for any reason? Is it even constitutional for the federal government to be able to wield these armed and highly trained people to carry out their will upon criminals? Do you even think, all right, what do you think about the whole idea? By the way, Corn, where'd you get that hat?
Out the dungeon.
That's a good looking hat, man. Is that new?
Oh, yeah. Sure is.
Fresh.
Crisp.
You still got the cardboard in it, Corn.
That's how I wear my hat, man. That's
Pull it off and show it to him, Corn.
It's that cardboard in the back is a salt blocker for when you sweat.
Yeah.
So it don't stain your hat.
Then
got
you
a
can
camo
they
patch
probably
on
make that out of pulpwood, don't they?
Oh, yeah. That's paper mill backing right there. This thing is fresh.
You keep the sticker on it?
Well, I am
Till
now.
you sweat it off?
I am now. New style.
Well, Corn, you're LEO, former LEO.
You know what Corn what I just thought when Corn took that hat off?
What?
I just thought about that part in the Bible where Elijah's walking up a hill and them kids come out there and start making fun of him, saying, "You old bald head."
Oh, yeah.
Get up that hill, you old bald head. And he calls a bear out of the woods, and the bear mauls them all.
Keep on.
Yeah, I need to dive into that on the unexplained Bible accounts.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, what do y'all think about the whole thing where if you get convicted of a felony, you get your Second Amendment rights taken?
I disagree with it.
Okay. Let's talk about this.
100%.
Because that's a big topic.
Corn's former LEO.
Yeah, and I have charged hundreds upon hundreds of people with felonies involving firearms, without firearms, so on and so forth, that were violent crimes, that weren't violent crimes. I believe you go to prison, you do whatever time you was sentenced to, and when you get out, when you've got everything, you should get your gun rights. You should be able to vote. I mean, why are you condemned for the rest of your life? And some people can make the argument, a lot of people do, well, if it was a violent crime involving a gun, if somebody commits vehicular homicide, they're never banned for the rest of their life to drive a car. Yeah, why all of a sudden can they no longer defend theirself for the rest of their life from the public and or their tyrannical government and or an invading government? Mm-hmm. Why all of a sudden can they not do that? Why had they been condemned? Because they had a pound of marijuana in their car when they were 18 years old.
Yeah. When was this passed? Does anybody know?
I ain't got a clue.
Blake, can you look up and see when this was came into existence?
Well, the interesting thing about that is, like Corn said, it can be totally non-gun related. It can be when you're 18 because you had weed or something, just like you said. Now, why? The interesting thing is, why have a sentence? Why go carry out a sentence and do your time and then come out to I mean, what's the point of the sentence?
Exactly.
That's what I want to know.
Exactly.
I've always wondered that. I mean, what are you serving to then come out and still have all these things taken from you? Integrate back into society? Well, you can't.
Yeah.
You don't have rights. You've waived your rights apparently.
Yeah. And most people, when they come out, when they have a felony and they come out and they're either on whatever you want to call it, probation or parole, a lot of people that get out of jail and haven't been to prison sign a Fourth Amendment waiver that waives all their Fourth Amendment rights, which means if you're just tooling down the street and you get pulled over for a blinker and said police officer asks you, are you on parole or probation? And you say yes. And he asks you, have you waived your Fourth Amendment right? And you say yes. Why would he not search your car?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
He can.
Exactly.
Well,
that goes to your house, to, like, if this is my office and I'm only working in here as well, and Johnny Law comes in here. Now, all states are different, and they have different stipulations, so on and so forth. He can come in here and be like, all right, Corn, you signed your Fourth Amendment waiver away. I need to see what's in your desk, man.
It'd be a funny question to ask. Have you waived your right to remain silent? That'd be a heck of a question.
Yeah.
Wikipedia
How are you
says
supposed to answer that?
the first U.S. felony provisions were introduced in 1792 in Kentucky, although the first actual law disenfranchising felons was introduced by Connecticut in 1818. And then from there on, people were just more states and more added it. By 1870, the number had increased to 28 out of 38 states.
So look how smart Blake sounds when he just Googles.
Yeah. What do you think about this, Blake?
About
should felons be able to retain their Second Amendment rights after they have served the punishment that was deemed requisite for the crime they committed?
No, I don't think so for the rest of their life. No. If all of their rights, like if the offense was so punishable enough that they think, well, you're going to lose the rest of your life,
Should be in prison for life.
Yeah, it should be in prison for life or the death sentence. If you've fulfilled the requirement, then
that was my point. Yeah, that's the point that I agree with you, Blake, along those lines. If the punishment that's doled out for the crime that you committed is not enough to cover the price of the crime that you committed, then why even serve the freaking punishment?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, why don't you if you commit a violent crime against somebody, you get life in prison or you get the death sentence.
Yeah, it's not 15 years. Then when you get out, you can't have a gun.
You can't do nothing.
Yeah,
you just
and you can't vote.
Yeah, if you can't have your rights, you need to stay in prison.
Yeah,
or die.
But it's there. So there's no perfect solution because, like Chili said, boy, I tell you what, it's a dangerous thing to give the justice system the right to dole out death sentences.
Well, and did you know that if you get charged with domestic violence, you also lose your rights for firearms? I don't think it's voting, is it?
No, you get to keep voting.
Yeah. But and that could even be a misdemeanor offense, right?
And it could be as low as being in an argument with your wife and either being very boisterous, cursing, scaring the child. If there was a child there, and I'm not saying, this shouldn't be, but and that child gets scared and said police officer arrives and believes that the child was scared, you get cruelty to children in, what is it, the second or third degree?
Third, I think.
And that's a felony. That is a felony for pitching a fit and cussing in front of a child.
Dang.
A felony.
This ain't good, boys.
Well, my point is too you don't need anything to be a felony on the books to get treated as a felony in court, or screw the courts. I mean,
well, the whole thing with court is they're not actually seeking to find who is guilty or innocent. They're just seeing who can play the game and win.
Yeah,
I mean that's
just
it. What
the
about
cases.
When we was talking about O.J. Simpson? Remember we was talking about that, and you said he went to criminal court and was found innocent, but then sued civilly and found guilty for the same act.
Yeah.
Well, but his glove didn't fit.
Yeah, right. 100%.
I mean, his glove.
This ain't good, boys.
It ain't been good for a long time. Back to the family violence about what Blake was saying. When I was a police officer and Blake was a police officer, I'm sure it was explained to him. Did you go to North Central Law Enforcement Academy? So I'm sure it was very similar.
I got a pea corn. Keep going.
When you are a mandated police officer, you are mandated to make an arrest in a family violence act where there is evidence, and it don't take much. You can lose your job that there was an act of violence, a threat of violence, or going to possibly be violence on someone. So Chili could be his wife or could say, hey, he hit me, and she's got a mark on her face, and you really didn't.
Right.
But there's evidence there.
Mm-hmm.
That might have happened to her 2 or 3 days ago.
Oh, he's going to jail.
And you're going to jail.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to fight that tooth and nail.
Yeah.
And I think
how you going to prove it?
I think it has since changed. It used to be in Georgia statute that brothers and sisters were part of family violence too.
Yeah.
But I think maybe that has changed now.
Yeah, because the state presses charges, right? So in any other crime, like the victim has to press the charge against the suspect.
That essentially says is the state of Georgia says, okay, Corn, you make the arrest that we have mandated you to make under the Georgia Family Violence Act, and we're going to, it essentially protects you if you were wrong, because the state picks up the charge. who is this guy called the state that
Yeah,
can hold accountable?
Well, I was going to ask you, what do you think about state prosecution?
They just now got a state court in the county I live in. It's always been Superior Court. As far as states picking charges up, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I mean, it's yeah. Like you said, who is the state?
Exactly. It's these people that's been elected in that sometimes rotates. More times than none, it's the same person in there a bazillion years. You're not going to hold those folks accountable. Back to the civil thing. If I, being a police officer, violate your rights, violate your constitutional rights, if it's not something that is just totally whacked out, like I shot and committed aggravated battery or aggravated assault or something like that, let's say I falsely arrested you, right? False arrest. You're going to have to take me to civil court to prove that first before I'm held accountable. Good luck. Because there's going to be, and I'm not saying anything against police officers. I got a bunch of buddies that are still police officers or whatever. They are not the law enforcement academy I went to and Blake went to, and maybe it was different for Blake. They teach about 4 hours of the Constitution.
Oh, yeah.
4 hours is about all you get.
Yeah.
And that's it. Period. It's more, they teach you more to protect yourself from being sued than they do to protect the people
The
you
rights.
are dealing with.
Yeah, the rights of the people.
They even had some people come in selling like this stuff where you sign up and if you do get sued as a police officer, like that, it's essentially insurance. Being,
keeps lawyers on a retainer.
PBLA or something like that.
Yeah. That's why I say good luck, because you, if you're a part of that, and a lot of departments do it too. I mean, they got endless supply of money to fight you in court.
Well, even if we assumed that the system was perfect, it wouldn't matter, because the system is being run by imperfect people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you could have a perfect system in theory, but because it's ran by imperfect people, it's going to get screwed up. So the solution, in my mind, to this particular part of the conversation is to try to find a more perfect person to do this job. And how do you recruit a better candidate for the job? Well, by paying them more and by training them better.
What specific job?
The job was of a police officer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you find not a perfect person, but a better person or a more perfect person? It's by making the job more desirable financially.
And that may be a quick way to go, but as the time wears on of being a police officer, your characteristics. I'm not saying that there's some people that's been police officers all their life and they're jam up. They're not going to violate your rights. They're not going to do nothing wrong. They are wound tight, and they are some awesome officers. That job will wear on you.
Yeah.
Like wear on you big time. It wore on me to the point to where I started out on night shift. So on night shift, you pretty much deal with all the family violence. You pretty much deal with the DUIs. You pretty much deal with an armed robbery here and there and a burglary. The people you are dealing with, you're dealing with that, like they commit crime. That's what they do. You get what I mean? They swapped me over to day shift after about 2 years of that. I like to lost my mind. I was like, I can't deal with these people that are normal. Like, I only deal with normal people at my house. When I come to work, I want these people trying to fight me. I want them trying to run. I want them cussing me out.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, it was really hard for me to adjust. I went back to them and said, hey, after 2 weeks, I said, will y'all please put me back on nights? You know, waving at the kids doing school traffic and stuff, that ain't me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah, because your thinking had been warped in a way.
So I think early on, like there has to be other stuff that the training, like you said, has to be ramped up constantly throughout that career of that police officer. And I'm sure there's some departments that do that. I'm sure that there are, probably more that we know. But in the surrounding areas where we are now, it ain't like that.
Yeah.
They by law, you have to get in Georgia 20 hours of training a year. And you have now some departments have different policies, but the police officer standard of training that is given out by that guy called the state of Georgia is 20 hours per year. That's all you got to have and qualify with your firearm, your pistol, one time.
2 days a year. I wonder how good of a runner I'd be if I only ran 2 days a year, or how good of a shooter I'd be if I only shot twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking terrible, man. Terrible. Well, this ain't good, guys. I guess that's why the Bible says your best bet's to live a quiet life, work with your hands, and mind your own business. And then if somebody comes to get you, you might as well just go ahead and duke it out.
Well, what was your original question for Corn and Blake? Because I want to hear what they say about.
Oh, do these federal law enforcement agencies, do they need to exist in order to maintain law and order? Because I like to say in my, and I'm ignorant to law and justice, police and all this stuff because I never done the job before. But I like to say, well, law enforcement should never exceed the local level because local officers are held accountable or should be held accountable by the people within the community that they protect and serve. Should be. That's the way it should be. But these federal task forces and units and stuff, they don't live in the communities where they're conducting operations.
A lot of those task force are derived from
local officers.
Yeah. So maybe Rome City Police pays someone to be on the U.S. Marshals Task Force.
Yeah.
I know Paulden has one on there.
And they just operate within their county?
No.
They cover a whole region?
Yeah, they'll go wherever.
Well, that's what I'm saying then.
Yeah, they'll go wherever they need to go. I've got a buddy out in Las Vegas that he was a police officer in Dallas, moved to Las Vegas, got a job, and he's on an FBI task force.
Yeah.
They move around, but that's how they sort of baby what you just said. These people aren't made up of people serving the community. Well, if somebody's being searched for, there was a few years ago someone committed a murder in Dallas and they run to some surrounding counties. So that deputy that was assigned to the U.S. Marshals was able to call up his marshal buddies and said, hey, we need to do this. So all the U.S. Marshals, for whatever task force he was assigned to, come and helped for Paulden County.
Yeah.
That's how they dance around that.
Well, so we have to have some sort of law enforcement. We don't have to, but the fact of the matter is 90% of people are so incompetent and untrained and unphysically fit and just freaking belligerent turds that they would just get steamrolled by criminals.
Right.
So do these federal agencies need to exist to maintain law and order within our communities locally? Like, why do these federal agencies exist, and do they need to exist? Is it necessary? Because it's dangerous. It's that their very existence is dangerous.
I think for something like the U.S. Marshals, like if there is a manhunt going on, if you can have a group of individuals that are assigned to hunting down said man for whatever reason, I don't think you would get the same results if someone was being hunted from Rome and Rome had to call Chatsworth and said, hey, we think he's going through there. And then Chatsworth said, no, Chattanooga, we think he's going through there. I don't think you're going to get the same results. I don't think dude's going to get caught anytime soon, and no telling what else is going to go on.
Mm-hmm. Because they don't care, right? That Chattanooga doesn't care that a guy from Rome is ran and fled there.
They're probably ate up with 911 calls and all. They may not even have the resources to do it. It's supposed to be a bigger supplemental organization to help, to support. But they do some really weird things as well. So we got caught, and I'm not trying to get off sidetracked. They come to Dallas. The DEA did one night to help. They didn't help. They called and asked for our help, that they were going to hit a house with a search warrant from some people that had a bunch of methamphetamine and were illegal aliens. So we hit the house, and all they wanted was the people. I go to putting the methamphetamine, which they had pounds, in the evidence bags, and they say, "What are you doing? We got to have this for evidence." No. Flush it. We flushed every bit of that stuff. And I was like, "Why? All we want's the people. They're arrested. We're either going to deport them, they'll go to court, so however." I was shocked. If it ain't money, they don't want it. They don't want it. If it ain't money or people, they don't want it, dude. I was wondering, well, I wonder if these people are even going to, I don't know that they were illegal. Like, are these jokers actually going to get tried for this? Or, what's going to go on? Are they going to be held accountable, or are they just going to be flown to the border and dropped off and ain't even held accountable? Like, what's the deal? I didn't like working with them.
Well, the U.S. Marshals are the oldest, I guess, federal, law enforcement agency. They're formed in 1789, followed by the Secret Service in 1865, the FBI in 1908, so they ain't even really that old.
No.
And then definitely needs to be canned.
The DEA in 1973.
What about the ATF?
Let's see.
They have that on there? What a freaking organization.
That's relatively new, ain't it?
ATF 1972, so just right the year before the DEA.
What an organization.
And then also Homeland Security does stuff. They do law enforcement stuff too as well. If we were advised, I went to a drug interdiction school, that if we got massive amounts of money, to call Homeland Security, they would send someone out of Atlanta, and they would take the entire case, so we didn't have to mess with it. Well, they wanted that money for whatever reason. You get what I mean?
They didn't come about till 2003.
Yeah.
Homeland Security.
Why are there so many of them? Why can it not just be one?
That was post 9/11, Homeland Security.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not even being funny. Like, that was why that.
Right.
Yeah.
The Secret Service, they only exist to suppress widespread counterfeit.
I did not know that.
They're a bureau in the Treasury Department.
The Secret Service.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
They're not supposed to protect nobody?
I guess they just got assigned.
Well, that's later. 1901, they were tasked with the full-time protection of the president. That was upon formation. That was their initial. And then they said, well, we need a little more people. Let's give you a little more something to do. We don't really care about that counterfeit too much, depending on who's doing it.
Yeah, man. I can see how, like, Corn making the point that there are ways that these, federal units can be utilized in order to create an advantage, or, to track someone down. And, like, I see that there can be advantages to it. I just don't think the risk that is posed by their existence is worth the advantages that we gain by having them.
Yeah, I see that. And they come with bigger and badder toys than your local law enforcement. Look at Waco, Texas. They come with way bigger.
Oh, they got that budget.
And badder toys.
Yeah, ain't there many examples where they, like, straight up just went in and killed a bunch of folks?
I don't know about a bunch, but yeah, more than one, right? Waco's the big one.
Yeah, Waco, Ruby Ridge is speculation that they said, I can't remember the guy's name, that they baited him into selling them a sawed-off shotgun, and that he really wasn't even doing that kind of thing. But however they but Ruby Ridge, yeah, there's
Didn't they get Popcorn Sutton?
No, Popcorn killed himself.
Oh, but they was after him.
They were going. Yeah, they were going to lock Popcorn up for tax evasion.
they locked up dang Block Cochran for eating an owl.
What was this? Something went down a few years ago. There was some ranchers or something that were running their cattle on this BLM land or something, and some federal agency came up in there and just shot them all up.
Yeah.
Whoa, I don't remember that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that has happened probably a bunch of times, really.
Yeah.
But the question for me is, how do you stop it? Like, okay, we decided that ain't a good idea to have no federal law enforcement like that. We're going to shut that down. Well, how do you really prevent that?
Dude, people don't like to hear this, but like the only way to restructure things once it's gotten to this point is for a large group of people to get together and say, we are no longer going to recognize the government as legitimate, and we're going to start our own new thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's my point, is not only are you not reversing it.
You know what that's called? A revolution.
Yeah,
that's what that's called.
You're not reversing it now otherwise, and you're also like, say it's just, okay, well, no, we passed a law, so we're going to just ban this federal law enforcement, U.S. Marshals, whatever. Well, I mean, that's just disbanding the one that you know about.
Yeah.
I mean, letting it be known and publicly. I mean, you're not stopping anything really with just passing some law that says, well, you can't have federal law enforcement anymore. But what do you think of the UN having an army, having a standing, the United Nations?
Mm-hmm.
Like who do they represent?
I don't know who's in charge of the UN.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
like you take it a step
And
further. I mean,
were they
we're talking
elected?
we're talking about federal law enforcement. What about global law enforcement? Who's controlling that?
It's not.
You talk
good.
about who you're accountable to. Well, good gosh, global law enforcement.
It's not good, boys.
That,
Anytime. Go ahead.
rancher thing was called the Bundy standoff.
Yep.
Bundy.
Yep. Thank you for that, Blake. Yeah, that wasn't too long ago.
He was. That's the one that, like, did he have a permit, or it was allowed to let his cattle graze on federal land or something like that? And
Yeah, it's had a 21-year dispute. He had then the BLM ordered him to pay over $1 million in withheld grazing fees for his use of the federally owned land adjacent to his ranch. And then they had their standoff as 2014.
Bureau of Land Matters.
Yep, they just come in there and killed the mess out of him. It's bad, boys.
oh yeah, anytime they decide that there's a different scope of an area that needs to be looked after, they just create another 3-letter thing,
Mm-hmm.
and there it is.
Well, we've reached a conclusion. It's bad.
Told you.
Told you. What's this episode titled?
It's getting deep.
All right, we had to go deep. We went deep enough to reach a conclusion.
We can add to the title, right? Now that we're wrapping up, it's getting deep, and it's bad.
It's bad.
There you go.
We got to the bottom of it all and realized it's bad.
It's bad.
Good luck. Hey, I was stopped at a red light the other day, and some joker pulled up beside me in one of them big, like Mercedes transit vans, rough-looking old codger. He rolled his window down. He said, "Hey, how do you get to 411?" I said, "Man, I don't know how to get to 411." He said, "Oh, all right." And he started spouting off some crap that I reminded him of somebody that he knew and this and that. And I'm just like, dude, I'm trying to listen to a freaking podcast in my car. And then we get ready to go. You know, the light's about to change. And I say, "Well, good luck, man." And he said, "No, luck is Satan. Luck is Satan." I was like,
Well, you know what you tell those people when they say, "How you get there?" You just say, "You can't. You can't get there."
You can't.
yeah, I mean, really, you can't get there if you don't know how to get there.
Yeah, just tell them
How do I get there?
He told me, he said, "No, don't put that luck on me, buddy. Do not put that luck on me."
He said luck is Satan?
Yep. Straight up told me that.
You should have said, "Well, bad luck then."
Boom, son.
Bad luck on getting there.
Good luck.
Well, we've got a few super chats
It's
if we're
bad,
winding
boys.
things up here.
It's bad. We sound like Dad on the podcast today.
Oh, he's been in here the whole time. He actually gave a super chat.
It's in the spirit of James Wright.
A super chat.
We got Marty Bingham coming in at $19.99.
Marty Bingham.
Thank you,
If
Marty.
you're dumb enough to eat a turtle, get some hoist. Chad Wright. The best advertising slogan in history. If that doesn't make it on a T-shirt, I don't know if I can carry on. Then he come back in at $9.99 and said, "I ate 2 mud turtles in my younger days. It tastes like dinosaur."
Good night. Well,
Marty.
Cornbread ate a turtle and he turned into a darn tortoise.
James Wright coming in at $1.99. Chili, yes or no on fishing trip? No BS.
He's unbelievable, man.
Hey, that's a pipe dream,
He
man.
is unbelievable.
That's a pipe dream.
Trying to get me to commit to a fishing trip is a pipe dream.
That's the truth.
Mona Wilk coming in. I'd make sure that wasn't one of them trick names. At $4.99.
Be careful.
Been following the pod since you was on the Rich Roll pod. Keep on keeping on.
Wow. Been a long time,
Yep.
Mona. Thank you for your support. Thanks for tuning in.
ACS 92 $4.99. Hey Pope Chili, I ordered a shirt an hour ago and it still ain't here. What's the deal?
We'll put him to work, Bubba. Thanks for holding him accountable, all right? Did you see I posted that little short on YouTube, the Pope Chili?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
you love it.
Dude, that's probably my favorite moment ever on the 3 to 7 podcast. Is that little clip right there. Of the thousands of, well, I don't know, there may be thousands of hours now.
Oh, yeah.
That scene is my favorite of all time.
Well, doves were descending. I mean, it's pretty.
Yeah, they were.
It was pretty miraculous.
Yeah. It's so good, man.
Before the Echo coming in at $20. Thanks to you guys, I got the courage to start a Bible study on my live hunting podcast, Before the Echo. God has given me a platform of 20,000 subscribers, and sharing his word on there has been the best thing to happen to me.
And praise the Lord, man.
Awesome.
Praise the Lord.
Justin Milford coming in at $20. Next time you're in Helen, go to the Southern Pink Pig, the same owners of Cowboys and Angels, where y'all got those burgers during TNGA. They are salt of the earth people with great values and amazing food. Rob Reddy, 10-man.
Roger that, 10 man. Hey, remember that, Corn, when we're riding through Helen on the TNGA,
The Southern
Next
pink,
year.
pink pig
we'll stop in there and get us something to eat.
will be big.
Outdoors with the, and then MO ... Their name's too long but they come in at $49.99.
Good night.
Just found you a month or so ago. Keep up the great work. Don't worry about paper mills. That's the least of our problems. The coming collapse is real.
I think it's here, buddy. It's bad. Thank you for your support, by the way.
The end is near.
Dan coming in at $5. OTR trucker and former C-130 engine mechanic. I just want to say thanks for all entertaining content y'all make. I appreciate y'all. Dan from PA.
Well, we appreciate you, Dan. That over-the-road trucking, I tell you what, y'all boys do a hard job.
That's right.
TJ McLaughlin coming in at $19.99.
Dang,
Sharing
TJ.
Sharing our hope in Christ is our highest calling. Thank you for the reminder of its impact and importance to our world.
Yeah, everything else
TJ.
is pretty much superfluous. It's just superfluous conversation.
Matt Bellantoni coming in at $9.99.
Thank you, Matt.
Travis Van S coming in at $9.99. Being
you,
a
Travis.
follower of Jesus is completely different than being just a believer.
Thank you, Travis.
Thank you, Travis. Yep.
Lance Thompson coming in at $2. Chad, what are your thoughts on the Speedland GS?
Lance, you only going to give me $2 and ask me a freaking question like that, dude? That's a $10 question, man.
Golly, Chad.
You give me $2 and ask me a question like that's a $10 question, man.
You're so off
If you
the
want
rails.
if you want a $2 question, you freaking ask me what.
What color's that band
Yeah,
on your
what
hat?
color is this? Like, come on, man.
Holy crow.
All right.
But I'll be nice and answer. I'll be generous with you. The Speedland shoe. Speedland sent me some shoes, all right? I ran a lot of miles in them. I've actually went through 2 pairs of them. Because Blake bought a pair, and he didn't like them, so he gave me his pair. So I've run through 2 pairs of those shoes. And it's a great shoe. They're durable. They got good tread. The little lace function is nice because you can really get the tightness of them dialed in. The cushion is okay. Not the best in the world, but it's good. That's personal preference anyways. Why I had to stop wearing Speedland shoes is because if I would do a run in those shoes, anything over about 30 or 40 miles, those shoes, because there's no tongue or like cushion or padding in the shoe up around the ankle, those shoes would cut into and rub my ankles raw, son. I'm talking about bad. I'm talking about like I would
cut 'em off.
I would start bleeding through my sock, and then it would scab over, and it would take them a couple weeks to heal. And I can't do that. So I mean, yeah, for a shorter run, it's fine. But I guess I can, but I'm not. The last time I ran in them was when I ran the Georgia Jewel 100 miler in them.
Yep.
What, I get second place?
Yep.
So the shoe worked great.
You didn't have them on.
The shoe worked great, other than the fact that my daggone ankles, the skin around the top of my ankle there where the top of the shoe is just obliterated, man. No, I can't do that.
Well, you gave him at least $20
So,
worth of information there. So
That's $100 answer.
Yeah, add another super chat, guy. What the crap, man?
Jeez.
Gatekeeper.
Trying to get something for nothing.
Holy crow, man.
Gatekeeper PVVQ coming in at $1.99. Chili, are you wearing your favorite camo pattern today?
Hold on, how much did he pay for that question?
$1.99. But he's on Patreon.
Okay, yeah, you're good. You're good, Chili. You can answer that.
Well, I can, but I won't.
Dang, you're not feeling very generous today,
Man,
huh?
that's rough. He come back in at $1.99 and said another truth bomb from the breacher.
Thank you, Gatekeeper. I know who Gatekeeper is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Gatekeeper.
Yeah,
He's on Resurrected.
PVVQ.
yeah. He's always contributing to the conversation, which is good.
Bearded Red double alt coming in at $10. At a CrossFit workout, so not able to listen to the live today. We'll catch it tonight. Here's some money in my absence. Thank y'all. Stay present. God bless.
Thank you for tuning in,
Good
Bearded
grief.
Red.
Thank you, but
we appreciate your
Stop doing
support,
that
man.
CrossFit.
Chili Jr.
Oh,
coming in
God.
at $4.99. You still can't ground me. I got an indestructible pillow fort. By the way, Chad's a turd for talking to me like that last week.
Chili Jr. makes me so freaking mad.
Oh, man. Chili Jr. building that pillow fort again, man.
I can't do nothing with him. It's got to be his mother.
Willie Jenkins coming in at $5. I'll tell you what pisses me off is red-headed people.
Dang, son.
Was that Willie?
That's Willie.
Yeah, I like that.
I ain't standing stinking redheads either, man. They're almost as bad as men that shave their legs.
Neo Amish dude coming in at $20. Took a friend 2 years of asking me to come to church before I got serious about my faith. 10 years later, I'm still finding significance of things I learned at that church. Live right, plant those seeds. God will make it work.
Thank you for your support, man.
Thank you.
I hope you're not an actual Amish, though.
If you are, give more money.
Amish tax,
20 Amish dollars.
Tax evasion. Amish tax evaders.
Corn, why do you shave your legs?
I don't.
Corn,
Nordic.
come on, dude.
I'm Nordic, son.
Come on, Corn. He'll admit it one day, Chili.
He uses Nair, that stuff you just pour on him in the shower.
That's true. You don't shave.
I'm built different.
We got Mike Hoffman coming in at $9.99. I'm
Okay.
blessing you with this super chat because God is blessing me. You are blessing us with this podcast because God is blessing you. Keep being a blessing. That's how we use self to promote Christ.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you,
You seen
Mike.
the journey he's on, man? Running?
No, you have to show me that.
Oh, it's gonna be big. It's already been big. Yep. It's yeah, Mike's one to check out. It's inspiring, man.
We got Travis Van Ness coming in at $1.99. I find speed limits to be asinine.
Yeah.
He don't like
I
speed
agree.
limits.
Yeah, I don't know.
When were those instituted?
I ain't got a clue.
1943.
I bet it was FDR. Speed limits. That wasn't a thing back in the day. You know, before there was cars.
Yeah, they didn't really care how fast you went before there were cars, did they? You could run 5 miles an
You know what
hour
I'm saying?
or 10. Didn't matter.
Speed limits. You can take your speed limit and shove it up your bazonga, son.
Have a raccoon come eat your bazonga out.
We got Mark Porter coming in at $99.99.
Night! Oh, my gosh!
He said, "Come down and speak at the men's barn meeting in Florida, and we'll take you to do your favorite thing the next day, deep sea fishing,"
Oh.
with a laughing face. God bless you
Dang,
guys.
son. Thank you,
Good
Mark.
Mark. You need to answer a question of his he didn't even ask.
Then we had Little Virgil coming in at $2.99.
Hold on. You know LV's a patron now?
Yeah.
Well, somebody named LV is.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Somebody
if it's,
named Little Virgil joined Patreon.
we don't know if it's the genuine.
You never know if it's him or not.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't trust that.
What kind of comment did he leave?
He's got this like
That's LV.
little dinosaur emoji, and it's doing like this.
Okay. So that's the real LV then.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
got muscled up runner Greer coming in at $9.99. Great message today. God bless and loved y'all. Cornbread 2024.
Believe that.
Thank you,
That's what I
Muscled
like.
Up Runner. We were just talking about you this morning.
Yep.
That's
Thank
my
you,
boy
Steve.
right there.
Yep.
We got
Cornbread 2024.
Matt Bellantoni coming back in at $1.99. Chili, go catch you a fish and make some good memories.
Look, fishing is for freaking old people that can't walk or do anything else. Go down to the dang fishing hole. It's a bunch of old geezers that can't even walk.
Yeah,
Nobody can do something else. Going to go fish?
I don't fish saltwater.
Fish nothing.
I don't do it.
Fish ain't even fit to eat, man.
Well, I disagree with
Oh,
that.
crap on them fish, man.
That salmon is good.
No.
Yeah, I heard you one time
And
say
that
you
tuna.
like, you like
Tuna's
bass.
good.
No, I don't like any kind of
Yeah,
fish.
you do. I heard
Fish
you
is
say it.
nasty.
You like to eat bass.
I must have been talking about something else. I wasn't talking about the fish.
He'll eat old nasty catfish. I seen
I like
him do it.
catfish.
I will not eat a catfish.
You
won't
eat it
eat
from. You
catfish?
used to eat that from Moe's all the time.
I will
you
not.
ju-
That
you
was
ju-
back when I was a poor dude.
Catfish fillet.
Poors eat catfish,
He
man.
just got done saying he loved that
Catfish
restaurant in
nuggets?
Mississippi.
Yeah, that was back when I was a poor. Poors eat catfish, man.
You like trout nuggets. I've seen you
No,
eat trout
I don't
nuggets
eat
since
that.
you were rich.
I do not eat that crap.
I've seen you do
Fish
it.
is the nastiest thing you could possibly eat. Look, you go out there and get fish and you get guts and livers all over you and get, nasty fish slime all up on you, wet and hot and sticky. You're stuck on this daggone boat out in the middle of a water that'll kill you.
Out
In the middle of a water.
in the middle of a water.
Fishing is miserable, dude. You're going to torture yourself. Go fishing.
That boat's got air conditioning.
I don't give a crap. You're still stuck out there. If that thing sinks,
get
you're
out
dead,
there
man.
And you look. It's okay for you to get away from the place where you live.
That'll get seasick.
Tell him, Corny, it'd be good for him to go do something.
It would be good for you to get out and let somebody else have the itinerary planned out.
I'm not that adaptable. Chili will tell you that. I had a boat one time.
You did.
One time I was a real stupid guy.
He changed off that quick.
He did, yeah.
Look.
He didn't like that.
I had a boat. It was
he
called.
admitted he ain't adaptable.
Look, I had a boat. It was called the Scum Frog. Named. It was a center console boat.
But it didn't have no air.
It was called the Scum Frog.
What'd you do with it?
I took it out. The first time I ever put it in the water, I forgot to put that plug in the back of the boat. And I'm going out.
the plug.
I'm going out into the Chesapeake Bay, and the boat starts to sink.
Yep.
So I turn the boat around, and I'm headed back into the boat ramp, and here comes the Coast Guard. And the Coast Guard tries to board my boat to check all of my safety equipment. And so I stop. The boat is literally sinking. The Coast Guard man jumps off of his boat onto my boat, and I said, "Look, buddy, I'm taking this thing into shore." And I just gun it. And then his buddies on the boat thought I was trying to get away from him with him on the boat. And so then they chased me all the way back into the dang boat dock, and I drive the boat up onto the land, and then then the Coast Guard told his buddies, "Hey, this thing was going down." And I ain't doing it, man. I am not doing it. Crap on fishing, man.
We might just book it.
Yeah.
Well, for the record, it ain't me that's keeping it from being booked. It's Blake Wright.
Do you want to go?
What does it matter if I want to go?
Well, that's because that's the you're like the low hanger. Like we got to have you.
What? Then I clearly ain't the low hanger.
We got
Clearly, it
me,
all centers
Corn.
around me.
We got me, Corn, Dad, James Ward.
How you gonna call me the low hanger? If
You got to have at least 4. And Chad, he ain't gonna go.
I'm not going if Chili and Chad ain't going.
So
if
y'all we are not doing the fishing trip if the whole team doesn't go.
So y'all were technically stopping the fishing trip.
who, me and
Yeah,
Chad?
dang right
You're
we are.
making it a pipe dream.
Because you know what?
You're making this a pipe dream.
Oh, it's a pipe dream.
If you go fishing, you're basically just admitting that you're just worthless and you can't do anything else. You're just admitting that to the world and to yourself.
Well, when are we going?
May 31st.
Oh no,
No. Go out and bake on a stinking boat out in the middle of the freaking ocean to catch a slimy, nasty
It ain't
fish.
a poor boat. You can get inside the cabin.
It don't
and sit,
matter.
and sit there, and you're not going to bake. So
I'm
the baking thing,
I'm
non-existent.
still out there
Yeah, that's-
stuck on this dang big
That don't work.
body of waters that I can't even drink. It just kill me if I go in it. Nah, ain't doing it.
Dad, oh.
We got JB's Garage coming in at $4.99.
Thank you, JB.
Truck Talk is the bomb.
Thank you, JB. Thank Chili for that.
We got the Millstone Project coming in at $4.99. Chad, let me send you a bottle of our beard oil.
Well, send it out, buddy. What's the P.O. box?
P.O. Box 454, Rome, Georgia 30162. You gonna use it?
Yeah, I'll use it.
You've used it before, hadn't you?
I've used a little beard oil from time to time.
We got
gosh, I'll use
Garrick
it.
coming in at $20. Death to Self. Helping out for the Speedland info. So he's making up for what that other fella
yeah.
didn't give in.
Well, thank you,
Man,
Garrett.
thank
Good
you,
grief.
Garrett.
Garrick being selfless.
Good.
Yep.
Good.
As usual.
Yeah, I don't feel quite so offended now. Thank you, Garrett.
Kyle Chiraboga coming in at $1.99. When we joining this pickleball tournament, Chili?
Well, there's new developments on that. I may be getting in a league. Yeah.
That's gonna be big.
I talked about that a few weeks ago. I think I found me one. June. It's going to be big in June. Got some tournaments lined up.
Pickleballs for women and homosexuals.
If you play pickleball, you just saying I ain't got nothing else better to do.
Yeah, pickleball's one step above fishing.
I got two tournaments I'm entering. Pickleball and arm wrestling.
Arm wrestling.
Y'all do something productive with your life, dang it.
We got Clock and Floor coming in at $1.99. Decoy Super Chat.
Oh yeah.
Thank
Clock
you,
and
Clock
floor,
and Floor.
he'll drop them.
Mm-hmm.
Sheldon Hoyt, $10. Missed the show. Here's 10 vet dollars.
Appreciate that, Sheldon.
Sheldon.
Matthew,
I like that name, Sheldon.
Matthew Bowman, $4.99. Finally getting to see a live stream. I appreciate you guys more than you know. God bless.
God bless you too, Matthew. Thank you for your support, man.
Jesus Crisco coming in at $1.50.
Oh,
There
thank
you
you.
go.
Thank you, Jesus. Appreciate your support, man.
Muscled Up Runner Greer coming back in at $4.99. He said, I'd love to ride in Colorado with y'all.
Well, come ride then. You better gird your loins, though, muscled up runner.
It's going to be big.
570 miles, man. Come out and ride. It's a race.
Yeah.
Public competition.
Yeah.
Neo Amish dude coming back in
Back in.
at $10.
Good grief.
Here's some more farm tax return money. Putting turkey shells into trees ain't cheap. Love you guys. Keep up the good work.
Ain't that the truth?
Clock and Floor, $1.99. When I work out, it's just the clock and the floor.
I like
Okay,
that.
I
Hey,
like
that's
it.
deep. That's deep,
Real
son.
deep.
That is deep.
If you really
I
think
like-
about that,
Yeah.
I mean, really think about that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
deep like deep sea fishing. Deep
Yeah.
like that. You know what I mean? We getting deep sea
He's-
fishing.
He sent another $1.99 and said to answer Chad's last live. So,
Clock and Floor, we appreciate you for bringing in a deep conversation of this episode, man. That means a lot to us.
and that's all.
All right. We love you guys. Lord willing, we'll see you next week. Enough said.